Today's lesson is Lesson 6, Bee Farms. Have you ever walked through a flower garden and heard the low drone of a bee buzzing from flower to flower? Bees are fascinating creatures. There are thousands upon thousands of species of bees. You may be the most popular with the honeybee. However, most bees live in the wild and do not produce honey. The necessary work of pollinating plants all over the world is done by all bees. But honeybees are unique in that they convert sweet nectar into the golden drizzle you might like in your tea or on your toast. There are only a few species of honeybees around the world. Most of these species make their homes in Asia, while others are found in Africa and Australia. However, the European or Western honeybee has been successfully domesticated, tamed, or controlled, and can now be found all over the world in large numbers. The scientific name for these bees is Asp melliferae, and they were some of the first domesticated insects. They are still prized today for both their value as pollinators and the delicious honey they produce. Raising bees. Western honeybees are gentle creatures and are not prone to stinging or attacking people or animals unless provoked. Having an apiary, a place where beehives are kept, is a job that is full of trial and error and new things to learn along the way. Some people keep bees as a hobby, and it is relatively easy and inexpensive to start a hive in your backyard. Unlike a dog you need to feed every day, these creatures are self-sufficient, gathering their food from flowers. It only takes about an hour of care each week to successfully keep bees. Honeybees are social creatures that have a very structured life, and the beehive is a place of predictability and order. Every bee colony has a queen and many worker bees. A queen is made when worker bees feed a larvae special royal jelly that they make. The unique food allows the larvae to develop into a queen bee, rather a worker bee. When a queen bee is mature, she will fly out of her hive and mate with as many drones from other hives as she can find. When she returns, she'll spend the rest of her life inside the hive, laying eggs each day. Queens lay up to 2,000 eggs in a single day and are capable of living for several years. Worker bees are all female. If they are born in the spring, worker bees live for only about 5 to 6 weeks. Worker bees born later in the year will live much longer to help the queen over the winter. Young worker bees do many jobs in the hive. They care for the larvae, clean the hive, and build honeycomb, among other things. Once they are older, worker bees venture out of the hive to bring pollen and nectar home to feed the bees in the hive and produce honey, which we'll learn more about in our student pages today. Drones are male bees. Excuse me. When they reach maturity, they leave the hive to mate with queens from other hives. Drones are produced from eggs that are not fertilized, and they don't do work in the hive. Their days are consumed with eating and sleeping. Have you ever wondered why bees make honey? The honey that bees make is their source of food over the winter. Beekeepers must ensure they do not take too much honey from their hives so the bees can survive the winter. Sometimes, in order to extract the maximum amount of honey, beekeepers provide an alternative food source for their bees, such as sugar water. Bees require more than just a food supply to survive winter. There must be enough worker bees to be alive to help keep the queen bee warm, as well as care for the others round of eggs and larvae that will hatch in the following spring. Because workers don't live very long, the queen must lay enough eggs later in the summer so there are still workers around to keep her warm throughout the winter. The decline in bee population around the world today has many people concerned. There are many theories about why bees are declining and why colonies are collapsing, but one of the most common theories is that it may be connected to our heavy use of herbicides, the chemicals that we use to kill weeds. This has created a strong controversy about herbicide use in farming and has even created debate about common herbicides used to control unwanted plants on their lawn, like dandelions. Equipment. If you've ever driven past a field in the summer and seen strange-looking boxes around the perimeter, you have likely seen modern beehives. Many apparatus work together with grains, vegetable, or fruit farmers to produce pollination in their crops. These beekeepers transport their bees to various locations throughout the year at the request of other farms. Even beekeepers who do not work for other farmers are familiar with the movement of beehives and are known to move them on occasion so the bees are close to the flowering plants throughout the summer. Honeybees can make a hive out of a place that provides structure for them to build their wax cells. Wild honeybees might make their home in a hollow tree or between rocks. Some honeybees have even been known to make hives behind the siding of houses and other strange places. A commercial beehive uses frames to encourage bees to build wax cells and fill in the frame. This provides an easy way for the beekeeper to not only access the honey, but also check on the health of the hive and the bees. Occasionally, a homeowner comes across wild honeybees living too close to their home and must call a professional beekeeper to help. They can find the queen and gently move large pieces of honeycomb into frames so the bees are easily transported away from the home. The bees then make their home in the frames provided by the beekeeper, and the homeowner does not have the bee infestation any longer. Honeybees are much more docile than other types of bees, but they are still known to sting if they are agitated. A honeybee's sting is painful. If you're keeping bees, it is important to have proper gear that protects you from getting stung. Generally, a beekeeper suit is a white one-piece fabric with long sleeves and pant legs. Beekeepers also wear long protective gloves and hats with netting that covers their faces. When you are wearing this gear, the likelihood of receiving an unpleasant sting is nearly non-existent. The other necessary piece of protective gear used when caring for bees is a smoker. Honeybees are social creatures with a strong drive to protect their hive from intrusion. Disrupting a hive is a great way to make bees agitated and get stung. But beekeepers throughout history have discovered that smoke seems to calm the bees, prevents them from attacking a person even when they are disturbing the hive. A smoker is a small box that contains a smoldering fire. It has bellows to help the fire continue to smolder and a nozzle that directs the smoke into the hives to confuse and ultimately calm the bees. The beekeeper safely removes the frames to check on the health of the bees and to see if the frames are full of honey. Storage and processing. Once the frames have been removed from the hive, the beekeeper observes how much moisture is in the honey. Honey that is stored with too much moisture will spoil, while honey that is stored the right way with the right moisture content will keep for a long time. Hold on just a minute, I'll be right back. If a beekeeper determines there is too much moisture in their honeycombs, they will use dehumidifiers, heaters, and fans to adjust the moisture content of the air around the frames. This naturally decreases the moisture present in the honey. When the honey has the right moisture content, it is time to extract the honey from the frames. The first step in extracting honey is to scrape off the top layer of beeswax from the frame. This is called uncapping. Once the honeycomb is uncapped, the frames are placed in an extractor. Extractors can hold multiple frames, and most styles extract the honey by spinning the frames until the honey pours out of them. The honey is then filtered and poured into bottles or containers for sale to customers. There is much debate about whether or not heat should be used in the process of extraction and filtering. Heat destroys beneficial enzymes, but it also kills potentially damaging yeast in honeys that have a higher moisture content. Honey has been warmed up significantly, can be poured through fine filters, making the honey appear clearer. Honey will also change over time as it is stored. Some honeys darken noticeably, while others crystallize and have to be scooped rather than poured from the containers as time goes on. The best way to keep honey fresh is to freeze it. This slows down the process of aging and keeps the honey fresh longer. Some beekeepers will put the frames with the honeycomb still intact back into the hives once the honey is extracted. This allows the worker bees to carry on filling the existing honeycomb with honey instead of using their energy to make more honeycomb. The honeycomb that is not put back into a hive is melted and cleaned so it can be used or sold for making things like candles, lip balm, salves, body butter, and various other products. To the table. Honey comes in so many different forms: unpasteurized, creamed, liquid, and pasteurized. This delicious sweet food is found in local grocery stores as well as farmer markets around the world. It is important to note that, like many other food products, the country it came from can play a role in its quality. Some countries have been accused of allowing artificial honey to be labeled as real honey. If you want to be absolutely sure of the quality of the honey you are purchasing, your best bet is to buy your honey from a local beekeeper. Most local beekeepers sell unpasteurized honey that has not been exposed to excess heat. Many brands of liquid honey found in grocery stores have been pasteurized and microfiltered to produce thin, pourable, clear honey that looks tantalizing and easy to use. Creamed honey is made with liquid honey is crystallized under controlled conditions to result in soft, smooth, spreadable honey with a unique texture and taste. Honey is often sold in food-grade plastic bottles, containers, or buckets that can also be found in glass jars. Honey comes in dozens of different flavors such as clover, blueberry, alfalfa, or wildflower honey. The flavor of honey is determined by where the nectar comes from. When a bee gets nectar from orange blossoms, it creates the slightest citrusy tasting orange blossom honey that comes from California, Florida, and parts of Texas. The process of making and obtaining honey is fascinating, no matter what kind of honey is your favorite. My kind of honey is sage, and they didn't list that, but sage is my favorite kind. Pollen, beeswax, royal jelly, and propolis has most often found a farmer's market, health food stores, or direct from a local apiary. Beeswax can also be found in large quantities from places that supplies butters and oils for making personal care products. These are all lesser-known products that are harvested from the hive and have various applications. Pollen is used for the nutritional value as well as supplement that some claim help them with certain allergy symptoms. Royal jelly is used for a variety of reasons, from supporting overall well-being to help deal with a variety of conditions. Propolis is often used in throat lozenge or spray to help with treating sore throats and the common cold. The next time you see honeybees buzzing around, try to remember the many products and benefits they bring to our world. For a hands-on activity, find a local beekeeper and set up an appointment to observe their work on beehives. You should also make beeswax candles together as a family. And that concludes our lesson 6 for today.